Basically, I will be sharing 4 slides, 4 content. First is motivation. This will be very minor contents. Second will be how to write, that is basically the improving writing skills in high impact journal papers. Second content will be impact assessment, particularly citation impact, its pros and cons, how to address professionally. And finally, I will be addressing a little bit about ethics, publication ethics. That's also important. Need to be aware, some of the right things, some of the wrong things. These are some of the examples that how we write objectives. So you start with the action verb to analyze thermophysical properties. So again, different people write in different ways. This is my approach. You can write your own way as long as it is understandable. Reviewer feels okay, they agree, they gave you green signal. I think that's the important things. Okay. So to analyze, so again, you see the started with the action verb. So and whether these are really possible. So normally we do these things and these are feasible, these are achievable. So we design in such a way that these are really higher level to develop a mathematical model. Again, you see, we are going to publish in a high impact journal. So we have to put higher level. So mathematical model is really a good level of that Bloom's taxonomy. Validation, again, this is higher level to compare. So this is again I have taken from the Bloom's taxonomy, and now I am experienced, so I don't need to use the Bloom's taxonomy. So this is how to write objectives in a proper, clear way, achievable, measurable way, and so on. So this one I need to spend a little bit more time addressing originality, because nowadays it is very, very hard. At the first instance, when you submit your paper, editor will go through. In most cases, in top journals, he or she will scrutinize and will say that originality is not high and it is not within the scope. But scope I'll be addressing later. But let me talk about the originality. So this need to be taken care very seriously if you want to be a prolific researcher, if you want to be a good researcher, if you want to publish in high impact research. So how to address this the novelty or originality? In my view, you try to read literatures. Literatures will guide you. Normally at the introduction part, sometimes they mention this author has done this and that. This also will give you a clue of what has been done and what has not been done. Scrutinize more relevant papers. So in your area, so maybe 10 or 20 papers you read, and then you see what has been done and what has not been done. Slowly you try to ask yourself, because your intention is to identify the novelty, what has not been done. Normally, sometimes in literature part also, this is how I ask my students, collaborators, can you write also in the critical literature, not only the good findings, also the what are the lackings, what are the limitations. So if in the introduction part, authors highlight that what has not been done, I think that will be a clue for you. Read the introduction part, as I mentioned. And most importantly, if you read a few review paper is actually to give you a guideline what has not been done in some aspects. So future challenges, future direction. So these basically can be found in a review paper. That is also one of the purpose of writing a review paper. Discuss with the supervisor. Of course, he's the experienced person like me. I always give the title. I know what has been done, what has not been done. So for me, it is a bread and butter because I have published so many papers. So I know in this area, and I'm also a reviewer. I also read the relevant papers. I also explore the literature. And when I am a reviewer, I'm an examiner. Normally, this is the homework I do. So if you want to be a good reviewer also, if you want to be a good examiner, I think you do the homework also. Through this literature survey, you can put that keyword of the paper that you are going to review, going to examine as the thesis and proposal. Actually, a lot of things will come out. And this is how I guide the students and the candidate, because I have to give the true fact. I cannot be emotional. I cannot be whimsical. I cannot put just a guess. I have to be very much professional. So this is how I see. See, I remember one of the thesis in South Africa. So he claimed that this has not been done. So when I critically reviewed the literature, I found that there is an almost similar work. So then I gave with that evidence, and then a student, of course, has to address. And this is the thing also committee members will take that seriously. These are some of the things how to identify, address the originality. This is examples of how to address novelty. As you can see, my experience, in most cases, normally the new authors or inexperienced authors, they write, there are only limited literature study. This is not enough for me. If I am a reviewer, I will be asking you more details. What do you mean by limited literature? Limited study. Actually, you have to synthesize. You have to critically analyze who has done what. And then you can say, based on this, literature 1, literature 2, literature 3, they have not done these things. Again, you can see in my slides here. So I have done the literature. So this is one of my students' study, and he came out with this novelty. And after discussion, I found that he has addressed only one novelty, and then I gave 2 more novelties. So there were some literature study. Based on this literature study, we found that these are the 3 novelties. Okay, so now this is very clear. This will be convincing to the editors. Actually, this was in applied energy. So editor also asked, what are the novelties? So when I have written this in a better way, improved way, so then editor-in-chief has allowed it to go through review process. So this is again how to address the novelty, how to write in a proper way. This is again another way you can see the critical analysis, but some reviewer don't like this. But again, it is also to me a good way. What are the parameters has been done, and the findings, remarks, limitation. So I have highlighted here, as you can see, highlight show that what has not been done. This is again at the end, you can conclude that these are the things has not been done in the literatures, and our paper will be focusing 1 or 2 of the shortcomings. And I'm sure if you address your originality in this way, you can certainly convince the reviewers. Addressing scope, again, this is another major challenges we are facing, because now almost 90% cases, your paper will be returned to you by the editors because it is not within the scope. In my view, I am facing the challenges also because this is actually because now, you know, the huge submission. You know, Chinese researchers are become extremely aggressive. So much submission. So what are the ways to reject? So this is one of the tool editor using. Actually, sometimes it is within the scope. But again, it is the role of editor. If he does not agree with your scope, it is his decision. But again, you can appeal. You can rewrite in a better way to convince the editors. But in most cases, it is difficult. So that's why during the preparation stage, you read the content, your content, the target journals, and you make it fine-tune as much as possible. You cite some of the papers. You put the contents of the, for example, the cleaner production. So what does this cleaner mean? So at the introduction part, so recently one of our papers submitted 4 journals. So at the end, we submitted in cleaner production. So I asked my team members, you write some of the contents of what does the cleaner production means in the introduction sections. Also reflect in result and discussions, and then they address, and it has gone through the review process. So again, this is a learning process. So it always will happen. We cannot be perfect. But this always will happen. But these are the ways how you can overcome some of the things, like read scope of the journal very carefully from the very beginning, design your project accordingly. So when you design also, you see that you read the journal, their scope and so on, discuss with other people, address novelty as well, keep few alternatives. So again, it will be rejected, but we have to keep our alternatives. I wanted to show that, but unfortunately, again, as I mentioned, we don't have enough time. Through Scopus, ISI Web of Science, actually, you can put some keyword of your work, and there will be a number of journals. So actually, from there, you can select some alternative journals when the papers are rejected again and again. A few relevant and recent papers in your topics, write a cover letter highlighting the relevancy. This is what I do, and I instruct my students, collaborators as well. In the cover letter, actually, you highlight how it is within the scope, particularly also the novelty. Then probably it will be good. But unfortunately, sometimes editors, reviewers also don't read all these things, details. As you know, sometimes 2 reviewers ask to be accepted, another reviewer say it should be rejected. So again, based on one of the reviewers' decision, editor sometimes rejects. So this is unfair, and this is in most cases I basically fight with the editor. Not fight, but professionally rebuttal I put there. So this is not appropriate way. And in most cases, I write directly to the editor-in-chief, not section editor, CC to editor, section editor. What happens then? Editor gives the response that, hello, section editor, you should send it third reviewer. So this is sometimes also, the editors, reviewers also do mistakes because, sometimes they also don't go. So that's why you have to push as well. We have to try our best as well. We have to write, and this is how we can overcome some of the challenges. So literature review, actually what I mean, actually you have to critically review the literature. This is also good for you writing your thesis. But we are not writing a review paper here, but literature is an important part in your introduction part. So this need to be critically analyzed. So basically what is critical review? Strength and weaknesses of the paper. Highlight what has been done, good findings, and at the same time, what has not been done. So this is in a keyword, what I call is a critical review of literatures. This is one example in the form of a table. Those who are planning to write a review paper also, some number of tables, figures should be like this. So these are the parameters. So references at the left-hand side, there are geometry, there are nanofluids findings. So these are basically parameters, and last column basically is the most important thing. What's the findings, limitations, and drawbacks? So these basically you have to highlight. This is very important slide. So this is the methodology part or structure and organization. In most cases, I feel new researcher, even experienced researcher also, they mixed up result discussion with the methodology. So to avoid this thing, so this slide is very, very important, and let me spend few minutes in these slides, and then I'll spend a little bit more time on the result discussion, and then I'll quickly finish this part because time is moving. Hopefully you can extend a little bit more time. Prof. Jul can extend, right? Because important thing is that we have to satisfy our participants. As long as they are with us, I think okay, I am okay. As long as I can talk, I'm not exhausted. But so far, I'm okay.
We're giving you a little bit more time.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so participant, please be patient. It is for your benefit. So I'm okay to spend more time. Organizers also okay. So let's spend a little bit more time in this slides organization. This is basically, again, I learned. So actually, the German Academic Exchange invited me, sponsored me in Vietnam for 6 days workshop. Actually, from there, actually, I learned these things. So again, I'm also learning. So you see, this will make your paper well organized, coherence. So it is not scattered, and reviewer will be happy. Your supervisor will be happy. And in general, this will help you to make a structured, well organized, coherent paper. This is basically the reason I put this slide here. So you have a title, and once you have a title, as you have seen, you have to write objectives in your introduction part. So you write the objectives 1, 2, 3 very clearly. Okay, so once you write your, I also have shown you how to write the objectives very clearly. So I am going one by one, very clear-cut way, so that it guides you how to write a good paper. So there is a title. Now you develop your objectives. So from the objectives, now you are going to develop methodology. Objectives basically is your aim purpose. So where you want to go? You want to go America? You want to go Australia? You want to go Canada? So this is basically your purpose, aim, and goal. So basically, normally in a paper, I think 3 objectives will be something good. So that's also the reason I put here 3 objectives. So now you have your objective. So then you have to develop your methodology to achieve some data for your objective number 1. Let's say you have objective number 1. So how you are going to achieve objective number 1? So methodology is something that will help you to address question of how you are going to achieve these objectives. Basically, experimental way, numerical way, modeling way, social science, maybe questionnaire, survey, and so on, and video, and so on, this way. So how to address the objective, how to achieve the data, basically, this is the keyword. So you design your methodology, your experimental setup. So objective number 1, let's say we want to measure thermophysical properties. So now what equipment I need? Okay, so let's say thermal conductivity meter. So we'll put a thermal conductivity meter will be used to measure these parameters. Again, this is objective number 1. So again, you can put the accuracy and so on. That one I'll be discussing in the next slide. So you design your methodology in such a way that it addresses all the objectives one by one. Some methodology may be same equipment can be maybe for 2 objectives. So that's you have to design accordingly. So if it is repeated, that's you write it very clearly. Okay. So this is basically you design the methodology to address the objectives. Then next part is the result and discussion. So methodology is to develop the data, basically that is results. Okay. So in terms of tables and figures, so we put tables and we put figures. Okay. So now in these tables and figures, again you link. So you develop the methodology to achieve objective number 1. So now you put the results also in a step by step, one by one. Don't put literature first. What I see sometimes authors present literature first. So then it makes your paper reviewer editor will say, oh, this paper is something like a review paper. First you present your results one by one based on the objectives. Okay. You present your data. Okay. These are the table number 1 based on stated methodology or based on the objectives, and then you start discussion. Okay, so this will make your paper very coherent, very well organized. So again, I cannot teach you each and everything, but you have to think also, you have to ask yourself, now have I addressed all this, what has been presented in this slide? You ask yourself, first draft, second draft, third draft, and when you are satisfied, then you ask someone senior person. You give it to your supervisor, give it to your collaborators. And if you still not convinced, this is also the reason sometimes you need to invite the collaborators. Like nowadays, we are facing difficulties due to COVID. We cannot go lab for last 3 or 4 months. So what we did, using our data, we invited some of the researchers around the world in Iran, Australia, Canada, Bangladesh, Saudi Arabia. They are very good at numerical analysis. So Alhamdulillah, because of with this effort, we are overcoming our COVID challenges. So what I mean, you need to invite the collaborators, those who are expert. I am working on new materials. I am not materials expert. What I can do, I can invite someone expert on the material synthesis. Then this will make your work very, very strong when you are not confident, when you are new, when you are junior. So again, these are the ways also to achieve your objectives, to make it coherent, to make it very strong. That's the reason also to invite the collaborators, to invite the experienced people. So as you know, as I told you, almost every week I got the invitation, can you be one of the co-author of my paper? Because they searched in the Yahoo, Googles and so on, and they found that I have so many papers, ready-made papers, if I am engaged, so this will help them to write a good paper and possibly it will be accepted. So I share you one important aspect. So one of the researchers in China, actually he's a Pakistani origin, he is writing a paper on hydrogen energy. So he's a new researcher. He is getting a scholarship, and university is giving him warning that you have not published any paper, so your scholarship will be terminated. And he suddenly started to communicate with me. So when I saw the paper, it looks good, and then I saw that it is promising, it can be published. And then first question I posed that, what is the novelty? And then he started to write a paragraph. So I normally ask my collaborators, what is the novelty? Because they write 1 sentence, 2 sentences, that is actually I am not satisfied. And then first thing I ask them, can you write a paragraph, what is the novelty? So when I see the novelty is convincing, then I go into the deeper into the paper. So in this case, that Pakistani students working in China, I got the novelty is good, and we work hard. We help the students to address the comments, and at the end it was published in International Journal of Hydrogen Energy. And student was so happy, so grateful, and I don't know how he acknowledged his gratitude. And at the end, quite a number of papers we published. And most importantly, through my effort, actually I helped to save his scholarship, his job, his degree, and also this helped me to achieve my KPI at Sano University. It was, I think, in 2017. At that time, I did not have lab, I didn't have anything, so it was something good for me also. Okay, so again, this is how collaboration is important. So this is the brief summary of how to address the coherency, organizing your paper in a proper way, and so on. Now, finally, how to address the conclusion. Conclusion is basically is concrete achievement of your objective. So you have to see, this is again happens mismatch. You have 3 objectives and you have written just everything based on your 1 objective only. So objective 2 and 3 is not addressed, and definitely if I am a reviewer and good reviewer will be asking that there is a mismatch. So there is nothing about the objective 2 and 3. So that's why objective number 1, and you write that there is a concrete finding. So You can write a bullet, you can write paragraph, you can write in a A, B, C, you can write Roman 1, 2, 3. You can enlarge conclusions, maybe paragraph also. It's up to you, and as long as the reviewers are satisfied, editors are satisfied, that should be okay. So what I mean that you have 3 objectives, you write the conclusion based on these 3 objectives, that all objectives are achieved. That's what we call the tally objectives with the conclusion. Okay, so this slide basically is to address the organizations and coherency of the paper. I hope this will be very, very useful for you. So that's why I spent a little bit more time here. So writing comprehensive methodology, I'll be going a little bit faster.